everyone. I'm Maria McQuaid, and I'm joined in this adventure by my dear friend, Michelle Bartchikowski. Hi, Michelle.
Hi.
How are you, kid?
I'm fabulous. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I am super pumped for today because,
Super pumped. Yeah.
of course, we are continuing our bonus episodes. We're calling them Feels Like the First Time. And I am very grateful to you for allowing this to happen because I was originally terrified that you would not want to do this recap series, but I think it's going to be super fun. We had a great time last time. Today is a continuation. It is Real Housewives of New Jersey, Season 1, Episode 2. Title of that episode is Mama Knows Best, which reminds me a little bit of my own Sicilian mother who would say things like, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy.
Well, ain't that the truth?
Yeah,
I mean,
it really, especially in an Italian family. And I think that one of the most fun things about New Jersey for me is that not only do I feel like because we are Gen Xers, we are roughly the same age. We're a little bit younger than some of the women in this cast of New Jersey. I think we're more contemporaries with Jacqueline than we are with people like Danielle or Caroline. But we understand sort of that era. We understand that generation. And we also understand what it's like to sort of be around that whole sort of big family thing. So, I'm Sicilian, but I know you've sort of seen my crazy Sicilian family, which really should be a series starring my family.
Well, I grew up with, I think most of my street where I lived was Sicilian. And anyway, so I know a little bit about it.
All the cool kids. And I really feel like what's so fun about this particular series is that what we really get now are these people like at their unvarnished selves. Right. Oh, I was joking with you a few minutes ago about someone being fresh-faced. I feel like everybody on this show is like a baby. I am questioning whether some people are even wearing makeup in some of these scenes, which I love.
Yep.
And I also really appreciate the fact that even though some of the fashion is a criminal offense in some states,
I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
It is also something that is clearly not styled. No. It is their everybody's fashion sense is clearly their own.
It's them thinking they look good.
Absolutely. And isn't that what we all do every day? I so appreciate that. I really do. I feel like these shows in their first and maybe second and third seasons, this is when they really were more about reality. I feel like today, maybe they're not about reality as much as they are the appearance, right? Like whatever that city or that gimmick, whether it is like a Below Deck or like a Vanderpump Rules, it's what they think we want to see. Yep. Whereas I think now what we're seeing with New Jersey is really who they were. I mean, this is Teresa with like, an inch of forehead. Right. This is, and really like very little in the way of makeup or jewelry or looking like she's been glammed out. Whereas today, if you look at her, you would need to chip off the makeup. So I think it's fun to see, especially I think a lot of the people that we've grown up seeing, like Teresa's children, to be so young as well.
I know.
So, and you didn't see this the first time, correct?
No, I was, my kids were little and I was in the phase of like trying to explain to everybody every day, if I'm not happy, if the mother's not happy, really none of you are going to be happy. I mean, I cannot tell you. For years, I had to say it. They all got it. They got it now.
Well, isn't that what Teresa says last episode, that happy wife, happy life?
It's so true, Maria. It's so true. You want me to run this fucking joint, then, there's got to be, things have to go a certain way.
Pay me what I'm worth, man. Pay me what I'm worth. All right. So this is why, honestly, I never married or had children. I always thought these are tough jobs and really there's no advancement and no time off. So I feel like I'm good.
There's zero time off.
No.
From the time I had like my first child, I've been carrying around some fucking bag packed full of someone else's stuff. You know what
snacks.
I mean? I'm not kidding.
Snacks for someone
Anything, extra underwear, I don't know. And then I just go and I get a dog because I just want to clean up someone else's shit. I mean, I cannot seem to give it up. Yeah.
You're in a spiral. I feel like you're in a servitude spiral, Michelle. We're going to have to, after your latest dog, we're going to have to give you a pause. We'll put you on pause.
Yeah.
We're gonna put you on pause for animals for like 2 or 3 years and let you travel.
Well, what's really funny is like when I get Botox, and after a certain point, things get really frozen, right? And so nobody can tell if I'm really mad because there's no expression in the forehead. There's no frowning.
Your angry 11s aren't showing.
They're like, "Are you happy or sad? We're trying to go by your voice."
Well, to me, you've always sort of been like that. You always have been a little sphinxy. You just, kind of you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
You're processing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And honestly, you have a really great, and I think this is why I love doing this with you. You have a really great take on a lot of this stuff. I love that you showed me the video of us actually podcasting, and my hands were all over the place, and you were just sort of sitting there neatly, as if you were waiting to, to be interviewed. And I really I love the idea that we're really very really different, but you have a really cool sort of introspective take on a lot of this stuff. So I'm really looking forward to hearing you talk about this. So let's dive in. And the opening credits are kind of they're always a little bit of a, oh God, eye roll for me, but it always kind of reminds us about what they're going to be talking about. So let's skip those. And then
can I just ask you though about like
Sure.
their opening lines? Why are they so defensive? Like, what is it? Come on.
I think here it's important to think of it this way. I am not entirely sure whether they record their taglines before the season or after the season. I believe it is likely after the season.
Okay. So there's a lot of
I believe that, right. And so I believe that what we're hearing in terms of if you think I'm a bitch or, there's no in between with me, like all of those things, which do kind of feel very passive aggressive, defensive in some cases. I think a lot of it has to do with where the season is going. I think it's a subtle telegraph to the fact that these women are going to feel like they have to do those things. They're going to feel like they have to defend themselves, or they're going to feel attacked, because that is what's going to actually, like that's, so I feel like people were reacting to what had already happened and then created taglines that reflected the entire season rather than themselves specifically.
I remember Andy Cohen in his book, he said, I remember him talking about like getting ready for New York season.
Yeah.
Or no, was he talking about reunion and they were talking about their taglines for next year? I forget. He mentioned something about it, but I wasn't sure of the timing because they were in between seasons.
Yeah.
So
I just have a funny feeling because these, to your point, all feel, and especially because this was the first season, I think they don't really know. Like, I feel like now with like maybe like cities like Atlanta or like Beverly Hills, or even with New York, they were just coming up with crazy things. Like after a while, you can't come up with, a lot. But then there were occasions where, like, I remember Bethany having one that was like, "Don't mess with the bee," because that was when she had like a really, a huge fight with Ramona. That was the mention it all season.
Oh yeah.
So I think some of them may happen after, but I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, these ones are all very antagonistic.
Yes, they are antagonistic, to say the least. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get to where we're opening here. So we're in like a gross beige kitchen, right? Which is Jacqueline's kitchen. And I fucking hate the style. I hate their houses. I hate, if Teresa says chateau one more time, it's not a fucking chateau. I'm going to post some pictures on Instagram of what a fucking chateau is. It's understated. And it's not like you fucking raided a quarry in Brazil to fucking fill your house, right? It's just so.
I know Jacqueline's house is humongoid.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
But they all have this awful beigey brown,
which I think was the style. I feel like I saw that all the time wherever I went. Like it's all very like Tuscan kitchen. You know what I mean? It's all yeah. I love her velour tracksuit though. Sorry.
I never did get over those. I still love them to this day. You can't. Everybody's like a 5-year-old.
Yeah, she looks gorgeous in it. Like God bless her. Yeah,
yeah. So we open in her kitchen, and she's bummed with Ashley because she's fucked up her grades, right? And she's really being so nice to Ashley. She's like, we've tried so many things with you. She's doing her Melanie Linsky really sweet thing. Tried so much with you this year. We tried grounding you. We tried pulling your teeth. We tried to, all these things. And I don't know, is it the editing or is Ashley really this bitchy? But she's sitting there with like this smirk on her face, like typing in her computer. And, my my reaction if I saw my kid doing that would be to go slam their fingers in the computer. Like that's what I would want to do. But I she Ashley's very mean to her mother. She's really mean to her mother, and I understand she is the oldest and she probably she plays on Jacqueline's guilt, don't you think? I think.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel bad. I mean, Jacqueline says that, right? She says that she feels guilty because when Ashley was growing up, that she was a working mom and sometimes she wasn't even able to get it together for like rent or food.
Mm-hmm.
And she's not sure how much that affected her, but that she feels like she herself, Jacqueline, overcompensates for that.
Yeah, she does.
And lets her get away with with a lot. And you can see it, just to your point, in their interaction.
Yeah.
Right. It's just I just feel like the whole thing is just fundamentally disrespectful in the way that she is with her.
Yeah.
And I wonder too if it has to do with the fact that Jacqueline is a younger mom.
Yeah, I'd wondered about that.
And so what's interesting to me is we have that cutaway with Caroline.
Oh yeah, who's like
who is in a purple fashion bug top, right? With a massive amount of cleavage. I would say conservatively 5 or 6 inches of cleavage. And she's wearing these necklaces. One of them is like a blue enamel ball. The other one is a green frog. God is my witness. She looks like she just literally woke up. No, she looks like she just woke up and slapped on her makeup and forgot to do her neck. She says that Ashley doesn't get away with bad behavior with her. And you can tell that that sentence felt like it was a little bit laced with judgment for Jacqueline.
And it's also, well, we know she's got a control issue, right? Because she, ties her kids' shoes and ties their ties and straps on their
like
fucking
30
high
years
heels.
old.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, she's got control issues going on. So she is the leader of the pack. Is she the oldest child out of all of them, Carolyn?
I believe she is, yes, out of the 11, which fundamentally the idea of 11 children for me is not okay. So
I can't tell you how many doctors I've heard say to men, it's actually really a nice gift for your wife if you get a vasectomy. Like, seriously.
Can you even imagine 11 children? Yeah, I think Caroline does suffer from she almost is like overcompensating, trying to overmother. And I think because anything that involves Dina, who is the youngest of the 11, which blows my mind that they would be that different in age. But I think is interesting is they cut those 2 comments. So we get the first comment from Caroline where she's like, well, I basically think that Jacqueline is a shitty mom. And then what's the next comment? Danielle, right? And Danielle's words are, her words are, Jacqueline's a great mom. I support everything she does.
Yeah, everything.
And she doesn't have to prove herself like she thinks she does. So I'm sure there's some subtext there, right? Like I'm sure, I mean, especially her, Jacqueline's husband, Chris, again, one of 11 children. I'm sure there's a lot going on with that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot that we never even see.
Well, and I also think that back to the Danielle comment, I think that Danielle has realized that Jacqueline's the only person she's found in years who's going to listen to her shit and believe it, so she has to kind of pepper the situation with whatever cheerleading she can, and
I think it's sincere though. I think in her mind, I think that she believes that she and Jacqueline have a genuine connection. I think that she really believes that. I mean, is she obviously demented? Clearly.
Yeah, I don't think she knows what a genuine connection is.
No, because she's obviously damaged herself, right? And we'll jump into that a little bit, but I think she believes that, she's one of those classic oversharers. And those are always the people who say things like, when I met Michelle, I just knew right away we had an instant connection.
Yeah. And then they tell you about the sex they have, right? Yeah.
Right. And then they're like, and then I shit the bed after anal sex, and you're like, whoa, this is Walmart, and we're in the checkout line, the self-checkout. Like, what the fuck? Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
do you need an enema?
There are people like, my doctor says I have to take a laxative.
My doctor says, what is that from?
I mean, people, that is from David Lee Roth.
My doctor says
I have to take a laxative, and then the store owner goes, not in my store, you don't. And it's from David Lee Roth's Just a Gigolo, the video.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I will get music into each of these podcasts. I do not give a fuck. Nothing will stop me. Nothing will stop me. I will get music references.
I can't believe I forgot about that because I probably said that for about 10 years.
Yeah. Yes, I think we said it to each other for at least 10. But yeah, there are always those people who overshare. And I think that Danielle is one of those people. And I think that is like a type of person. And I think it usually comes from someone who's like searching for connection. Right. And when they catch a little bit, they're like, right. And those are the people that always tell you after dating a guy for like 10 minutes that he's their boyfriend.
Yeah.
And those folks always break my heart a little bit. So I'm going to try and temper my comments about Danielle with, because I have a very cold heart, but I'm going to try and temper them a little bit. But.
Well, what you just said, that's going to come up a little bit later with Dina. You know, best friends, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and luckily we don't spend a lot of time here with Jacqueline and Ashley, just enough to set up for us that like basically Ashley is a shitty kid that Jacqueline has created. Right. She's created a situation where her daughter doesn't listen to her. And I have to be honest, I don't recall having a lot of affection for Ashley sort of through the process of her being on the show.
Really?
Yeah, she just doesn't do it for me. I don't find her sincere. And I think part of it too is that whatever we're seeing from her is always just, she's in a tough time as a teenager. And so that's the time that's being filmed.
Yeah. And I also think, you know, Jacqueline did probably fail in trying to give Ashley, like, you know, incentives, you know, like reasons to want to succeed at things or reasons to try new things.
But can you imagine what she must have done in order for them to take away everything? They took away her car, her computer, her phone, her clothes. Like, imagine how bad that had to be. Like, what would your kids have to do in order for all that shit to be taken away from them? How bad would it have to be?
I mean, well, here, the
You've
way
never
I
even
have
experienced anything like that because your kids are so good.
Because we've been very interactive with them, and we've tried to instill, you know, my kids enjoy life. They like everything they do. They like when they do well in school. They understand the rewards. They, you know what I mean? They're interested in learning. They like all their outside activities. Do you know what I mean? And they understand that if they like want to play tennis 5 days a week with the team, that they have to get their homework done because, you know, their priorities. And I'm still going to cook. So, you know, it's all easy. So I don't know. I mean, I've tried to send them in the direction of, you know, it's worthwhile to just to do everything and enjoy everything. And I'm not really sure that Ashley was really ever given that. I think her mother just felt like shit, got married, still felt like shit, had a baby, still felt like shit because now she's like got like a child who's a teenager with a baby. And I was like a child who had a late in life child who had older siblings. And I got some mixed messages. That's all I'll say.
Right. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure it's not. Yeah. I mean, that is a really tough kind of position to be in, right? Especially to have a lot of room between you and your sibling.
Yeah.
And I think Chris is 6 and Ashley is like, what, 16 or 17?
Yeah.
Something like that. So yeah, I'm sure this is challenging. Yeah, I'll share with you in a second if you don't mind. I want to talk to you for a second about this next scene because I don't know if you noticed something here.
Okay.
I'm sure.
Okay.
As soon as we're done with Jacqueline telling us that, like, you know, basically Jacqueline is the Mother Teresa, and we cut super quick to Teresa.
Yeah.
Taking her
this, yeah.
It's like a wow, and it's like we take all of a sudden we look at Teresa taking her 3 daughters. Did you see the skirts they're wearing? They're Hermes inspired, like with the chains. I almost passed out. To this place called Bella Bambini to shop. She says she takes them shopping at least a couple of times a week, Michelle.
Because she loves it and she's used to it. Yeah.
She loves it. Yeah. And all of a sudden, so this scene I love because it is like rapid camera cuts between Teresa, the girls, and the lady who works there.
And Maria, that is what it's like to have little kids and take them fucking shopping. It's a rapid camera cut nonstop. and you keep wishing you weren't there, basically. But it just goes from thing to thing to thing to thing, and you never finish a thought. So
I thought I was going to
really
pass
good.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really did. It like gave me anxiety. So it did what it was supposed to, the camera cuts. I honestly, while I was watching it, I was like, the whole time I kept thinking, oh, I'm so fucking glad I don't have kids. Oh my God. I couldn't do it. And, we hear some great gems from Teresa in this scene. One of my favorites, and I love to imagine this, is that she says she likes them all to match, including herself and her husband.
All 5 of them.
Yep. I love the idea of this, Michelle.
Yeah.
It cracks me up. So, all of a sudden we look and the 3 girls are starting to run wild and they're like randomly handing her hangers with clothes.
And the little one is just having a fit over everything.
Melania becomes baby Hulk.
Yeah. She's awesome.
She is literally Hulk smashing her way through this fucking store. And
she's in the cash register.
This bitch is everywhere. And as we're seeing this, we see Caroline pops in and she's like, Teresa worries about every accessory. She's the only person who would bribe a 2-year-old with lip gloss. And we cut right back instantly, right, to Melania, who's literally like, Hulk smash. I will pull my hair out. She literally screams.
So where does she get that? Where does she get that? Her mother must say that. Her mother must say that.
I could not believe it, Michelle, because I kept thinking to myself, fuck says that? What a weird thing.
You know that Teresa says when she goes home, if you don't stop it, I'm going to pull my hair out.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I could not think of what the context would be. I was like, what the fuck? She's screaming at the register. She's pulling money out. And, and in the middle of all this, Teresa gets a phone call and it's from a talent scout. It's Maria. She's the talent scout, and she says that she is calling to offer Gia an audition for a film with The Rock. And now Teresa's like so excited because she got this audition without even any acting lessons, and now she needs the best acting coach in New Jersey.
Yep.
Now I have to ask you: did you notice the total? You could see it; it was being added up on the adding machine. Did you notice the total for the shopping?
It was something massive. I mean, was it like $1,000?
Take a guess. Take a guess.
Well, I did see the total, but then I saw her counting out all the hundreds. And so I feel like it was like $2,000.
It was $2,600.
Okay.
Can you imagine?
Well, she carried out one bag.
I can't even imagine how much each of those outfits must cost.
Oh, God.
I have no idea, but I thought it was insane. So yeah, it is, I zoomed in and believe me, I'm using every little thing to figure it out, because the whole time I kept thinking, how much is this going to cost? And this is one of those situations. And Bethany actually talks about this on her podcast a lot. The idea of people fronting.
Yeah.
Almost in anticipation of the show making the money.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine that in real life that Teresa did this. I'm sure she lived well. Obviously, they were building that massive, horror show. But I feel like this was put on for the show.
Yeah, no, I think probably most of the time she was at Baby Gap.
True that. All right. Do you want to take the next scene? Talk to us about what Danielle does in Mara's restaurant. Do you remember that?
Yep. They sit down outside. And they both have these off-the-shoulder bits that they're wearing.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah, it is really horrible. And let's see.
This is where Danielle actually says that she had the instant connection.
Yes, she has the instant connection, and this is where I came to the conclusion that she's the kind of person that she reads people who are weak, and Jacqueline is weak within that family. Do you know what I mean? She's at a disadvantage because they push her around, and I think whatever the conversation was, I feel like Danielle just feels that she can sort of worm her way in and manipulate Jacqueline. And then she's trying to, Jacqueline's trying to say, well, you put me in a funny position. I can't be between this one and that one. And then Danielle said something really weird about don't ever something. And I didn't catch that. Do you know what I'm talking about? Was she saying it to Jacqueline? Don't ever put me in that position.
No. So what Jacqueline was saying was, there's this situation with you and Dina.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I have to choose. And she's saying, I don't want to ever put you in that position. It's funny that you say that, but I had to actually, again, I have everything on closed captioning. So I had to watch it a couple of times because they were talking over each other to be able to sort of figure out and then write down what they said. Because I couldn't, it was easy to get it confused. But Jacqueline was saying that, I don't want to be in the position to choose. And Danielle was basically saying, I don't want to put you in that position, and I'm not trying to.
Okay.
Whereas, but I do think she kind of is, and
she's stressing Jacqueline out about.
Yeah, I have to say, I felt bad when Jacqueline said that, Danielle is new to my friend group, and I really want Danielle to fit in. I thought, God, what an interesting thing to say as an adult person. I just, and Jacqueline is talking about the fight with Dina. I would fucking love to see that, by the way. What is the fight about? I can't remember if we find out. I'm dying to know, Michelle. Yeah. I need to know. So if anybody knows and can just like throw it in the comments under this podcast on Instagram, please, what is the fight about? I cannot remember, but I hope they show it because I would love to see Dina threaten to kick her ass. But I think it's interesting because Jacqueline gives Danielle very specific advice, to which Danielle nods as if she understands. So Jacqueline says, first, take it slow, right? With my family, with Dina, take it slow. Because she recognizes that she, to your point, has this tendency.
Yeah.
And then the second thing she says is basically the same thing, but she wants to fucking double down. So she says, don't come on too strong. And literally Danielle nods like she knows.
That's all Danielle knows how to do is come on too strong.
She only has the one speed, pumpkin, right?
Yeah,
that's all she got.
Yeah,
she's only got needy, right? Yeah. I mean, and it is. It's sad to watch because it's so clear. Like there were so many times during this where I feel like I wish I could call her and just go, so do you see why this is a fucking problem?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So you see why this is nuts? And I'm not sure that she would. But yeah, I thought it was, of course, the beautiful way that Bravo cuts it is that, we are literally looking at the foreshadowing for the rest of the episode, right? Her saying to Danielle, don't take it slow. Don't come on too strong, which is exactly the opposite of what Danielle is going to do, not only for the rest of the episode, but forever in time in memoriam for as long as we're going to know her.
And what's interesting is I was on Peacock and I was looking at like the thumbnails. Danielle's in like every single one of them. Did she just like take over this season? It's all about her.
Because it's all about people's reaction to her.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not, so here's the thing. I'd love to tell you that it's because she does things. She doesn't really. She comes on too strong.
Yeah.
And the family, in my opinion, the Manzos, meaning specifically Caroline and Dina and their husbands and peripheral peeps, right, are naturally suspicious of her because of the brother, because of Chris, right. With Jacqueline. Mm-hmm. They're looking out, and especially Caroline. I mean, think about her tagline: "You mess with my family, you're messing with me." Right. She's telling you. She literally is saying to you, "This is what's going to happen in the season." She's gonna, in my opinion, in Caroline's opinion, mess with her family.
But also, Maria, just going through life, and I know when we were kids, we knew people who had big families, right? You and I don't have big families, but you had a neighbor, they had like 7, 8 kids. You kind of knew that there was going to be people who had certain roles and things were going to go a certain way, and you couldn't just step in and do and say whatever you wanted, right? I mean, and that goes for big adult families too.
So, spoiler alert, Danielle Staub, and this of course does not come up in this episode, but this is just something that I know, is that she is adopted.
Yeah. I started reading her book.
Yeah. And so she is adopted, and so the family was not big. And so I think she doesn't feel accepted, and she doesn't know what her place is. Mm-hmm. And I think because of that, she lacks social awareness.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like, I think she's very aware of herself. I think she knows, I think she does a lot of stuff on purpose, but I don't think she understands herself with other people.
Well, I think she
that is a special problem.
I think she thinks she can will it to be a different way.
Yeah. I think she's, she's kind of a heartbreaker.
She's special. She is a heartbreaker.
It is a little
is.
heartbreaking, right? To watch it now. I remember watching it the first time and hating her and being like, what a fucking, now I watch it and I still, I mean, I don't want to invite her out to coffee, but now I have so much compassion
Yes.
for how sad she is inside and the way that she's behaving. And even and also too, I keep thinking to myself, everything that she does and says, I keep thinking, and it's fucking on camera. Do you know what I mean? Like it's so bad and it's on camera.
Yep.
It's not like you just called me to tell me about your cousin Danielle who did this thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is an actual thing that we're watching. It's available for posterity. This is 13 years old, Michelle, and we're watching it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I agree. I mean, I started reading the book, maybe I'm like, 20 pages in or something, but she says a lot. And it does it completely changed my opinion of her watching her, knowing what I know. But
yeah. Save those spoilers, but yeah.
She still sucks. Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get into her book. She still
sucks.
Yeah.
Yes, she still
By the way, she still sucks.
Yeah, spoiler alert for Danielle. She still sucks in 2023 as well.
Yeah.
And so yes. So the next scene is once we leave I feel bad because this little conversation in this restaurant is really all about Jacqueline saying like stay away from my family.
Right.
And Danielle doesn't recognize it. So once that's over, we literally do this insane flyover to Teresa's house under construction.
And Chateau. We see every fucking stonemason in the tri-state area working on their house. It's unbelievable.
And then she arrives in a preposterous, this is the best word I can use. It is a preposterous outfit, Michelle.
Yeah.
It is jeans, it is a baby doll dress, and then it is a headband that I think she stole from Bret Michaels. I am very confused.
And that she was on par with the fashion.
That was the style, of course.
Yeah.
I know. It was just terrifying. She starts talking and she says that they've been building this house for 3 years. And it is pretty impressive. I mean, I've seen it completed. It is a French chateau. She says that there's marble, granite, and onyx everywhere. And somehow that does not sound good to me.
No. I'll bet they don't have to air condition it a lot because it's all stone.
I can't wait for you to see it when it's done.
I have seen it actually.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
It's something else. I mean, the foyer, I want to say that they set up at one point, I want to say that the kids set up a whole gymnastics thing in the foyer.
That's awesome. Well, if she says one more time that it's French Chateau, it's French disgusting. That is not a French fucking chateau. I'm sorry. The only thing that she has in common is that the chateaus will have the stone, the granite floors, again, to keep cold because in the south of France, right, it gets real hot, and they have the big vaulted ceilings so that all the heat goes up there and doesn't bother you down on the floor, and big windows, but that's it. That is it. The other shit she's putting in there, I just, yeah.
The turrets are too much. Yeah, it's just
the turrets.
Yeah, it's really, like I said, this is very much it feels a lot like watching a horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I know at the end of this movie, they're all gonna die. And I feel like at the end of this, this arduous process, I mean, she's gonna go to jail because of what's happening, partly because of what's happening at this site.
Yeah.
Almost all of these people would have been being paid in cash, right? This would have been a situation where, I mean, I hate to say it, this is probably part of what gets investigated for them.
Yeah, probably.
Where did this house come from? How did this house materialize? I mean, as disgusting as it is, let's agree to, disagree with them on the taste, but that house is worth millions, even in New Jersey.
Yeah. And the fact that, that's the other thing too, because New Jersey is maybe, I don't know how much less expensive it is than, Massachusetts where we are, but we do pay up the nose for everything here. But yeah, so it is cheaper to live there, but still, it's still millions. It's still that they had to still pay taxes on this plot of land while they're maintaining their other house for all these years. I mean, they're juggling a lot. There's a lot of money floating around.
I just love the idea. It reminds me a lot of when I was a kid, when I would see big fat wads of cash
Well,
in like
everybody
men's
did that though,
pockets.
right? Everybody did that.
I used to love it when my father used to carry like wads of cash.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to love it when he would open up the wad and he would make the bills crack.
Yeah. Oh, my dad used to love to do that.
I used to love that.
Say.
You know exactly what I mean, right? It was just like it must have been men of that generation where it was just like it was a way of showing off, but it was so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it
Yes.
was so cool.
Absolutely. It was so like hilarious. Like if I could just go up to my dad at any time and I'd just be like, I need $100. Not that I ever asked him for that, but like I think a couple times, like just to fucking see what he would do. I mean, what like 30, 40 years ago, like, do you have $100? Like that was he'd really
Yeah, I was gonna say 30, 40 years ago, $100 was a lot of money.
But it's like that's just the shit that they had around. Like you never knew because you couldn't always go to the bank, so you had to carry that around with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, that's what's creepy too. I keep thinking like, oh my God, this girl's walking around with like thousands of dollars in her, you know what I mean? Thousands of dollars in her wallet. But what's nice is we don't have to spend a lot of time in Chateau Hell.
Thank God, Jesus. Yeah,
it's nice. We can take a left and we can head over to Jacqueline's. And Jacqueline, by the way, every time we go to that property, it is freaking huge.
yeah, it
Her
is
house
huge.
is humongoid.
Yeah,
humongoid. And you know, she's up there for it's CJ's birthday party. You know, it's a full-on carnival. She says, you know, it sounds obnoxious, but she wanted the kids to have, you know, fun. Her backyard is massive.
It's massive.
Michelle, it's
she's got
like
a bouncy house. Yep. Yeah.
She has everything. I want to go to this party.
I thought the same thing. I was like that. If I were a parent invited, like if my kid was invited, I'd be like, well, we're going.
Yeah.
So,
I would.
No, you can't go to gymnastics that day. We got to go to this party, right?
Yeah. I don't care if we don't like CJ. We're going.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it looks really cool. She did a really great job. Daniela's early to help her, which I thought was pretty cool. Help her set up.
Mm-hmm.
She brings her two daughters who are beautiful. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Danielle's older daughter, Christine, sort of drops like this, what feels like I guess like a casual comment, but sort of starts a little bit of a hullabaloo.
Yeah.
Yeah. She says that she overheard Ashley say that she was inviting like 20 friends.
Yeah. Does Ashley have friends? I mean, I don't like her. Does anyone like her?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, does Ashley even know 20 people? I don't know. She doesn't do anything for me, but maybe. So maybe, you know, and I don't want to be too hard on her, but she's, you know. So it's interesting because in that sort of revelation of that information, Danielle offers to talk to Ashley.
Which is weird, and she's dying to get her claws in. See, this is the thing. I don't trust people like Danielle.
I was gonna ask you about this. Like, so I don't have any frame of reference because I don't have kids, but like, is that weird? Like, so here's the thing, like, I can't imagine a scenario in which I would say to you, if there was a problem with one of the kids while I was there, do you want me to talk to him? Like, I'd be like just shutting up and like kind of sitting there going, I hope I don't get in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, basically I would shut up. I mean, I think the only person I ever did that with was like my sister with her kids. If she was like absolutely freaking out over something. But then again, her kids didn't really do apeshit things like that. So, you know what I mean? Maybe when they were like really little, I had to step in, but never like as a teenager. I don't, you know, none of us rolled that way, Maria. I don't know. We weren't out to just piss off our mothers.
And it feels like inappropriate for Danielle to say it, but, you know, I was kind of like, oh, alrighty then. And I thought it was interesting that they both go upstairs, that like Jacqueline brings her. Do you think Jacqueline is she that much of a chicken to do it?
No, I think she doesn't know how to say no to Danielle. I think Danielle is very overbearing. And once she's in Danielle's
so you think
presence,
Danielle decides to go up?
Yes, I do. And then Danielle, she opens her mouth. Yeah, it's
well, and then Ashley is so rude. You know, she's all Jacqueline wants to do is to say, like, listen, I want you to call up a couple of your friends. You can have 4 or 5 people. The argument ensues, and Danielle is like behind her. She reminds me of like a little kid, like a sibling who's watching like like another sibling get in trouble and is like, yeah. Like it just seems it was really juvenile because it felt like Danielle was like repeating or like adding on to everything that Jacqueline says. Like Jacqueline would be like, yeah, you got to call a couple of people. Yeah, you promised your mother only 5. Yeah. And so everything felt like a little echo.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden she says something that just like grated on me. And it's so funny because as soon as I thought to myself, this bitch is obnoxious, Caroline came out of the woodwork to confirm it for me.
Yes.
But so she says, sweetie, just, make sure that you do it. I'm your biggest fan. And I thought I was going to like, honestly, barf a little bit.
It was too much. It was cringy.
And then that's when Caroline was like, Maria, I agree.
Right.
Literally Caroline came out to confirm my suspicions. And she goes, honestly, Danielle and Jacqueline's relationship bothers me.
Yeah.
She says she doesn't know her and that Danielle comes on very strong.
Yeah. Way too overbearing. Way too overbearing.
And that Jacqueline, to your point, Michelle, doesn't know how to say no.
No. And I think, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. I've not seen like all 13 episodes, 13 seasons, but, was Jacqueline did her husband just swoop in and rescue her because she was
kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
She was in Vegas. They met in Vegas.
And she just seems like forever grateful, like she's just supposed to be subservient to everybody. And
well, I think she's a timid person.
Yeah.
And her husband, I actually like her husband. But
he seems really nice.
He is, I think so. And I think I like seeing him as the seasons progress with CJ as CJ gets older. But I honestly think that Jacqueline always feels to me like, I don't want to say that she's weak, but I feel like she's vulnerable. Maybe that's
very
a better
vulnerable
word.
Yeah. And she's always having like a little mental breakdown in her head. And you're right. She's alone. She doesn't really know. I'm sure like if she tried to reach out to her husband for support or, you know what I mean, to try to talk about things, he would, but I don't know, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's not a talker like that.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, and it's hard to say, but I feel like Caroline, sometimes I think she's hard on Jacqueline. And then there are other times where I'm like, oof, that's on the nose. And I think this was one of those that's like on the nose, right?
The nose, yep.
That Danielle is coming on too strong and Jacqueline doesn't know how to set up the boundary. So I have to be honest, I am dying for the cupcakes. I meant to mention that before that Jacqueline has with like the balloons on the top.
Oh, gorgeous.
Oh my God. So Teresa arrives with the girls wearing Burberry print.
Yeah, Burberry skirts.
Love it.
Yep.
Love it.
And she sends them down like a bouncy house slide. And now their underwear is like wedged up their asses because they got the stupid fucking skirts on. She knew there was going to be a bouncy house there. She had to put them in skirts.
She also knew there was going to be a camera. And what was more important?
Couldn't she put on like the little sort of like spandexy shorts underneath?
Oh, like the booty shorts for dance? Yeah, no.
Yeah, like the little sort of like knee length, like that's popular with little girls. I wish I had had that as a kid because I would have worn skirts all the time. I wouldn't have been afraid of,
Oh, see, I had them because you used them for cheerleading.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, because we used to wear like the cheerleading skirts are so short.
Yep.
And so I used to have the shorts. But yeah, it's interesting that Teresa has chosen to like really highlight like the girls. I think honestly, I feel like Teresa's on a different show sometimes. So Danielle, actually, we see the scene where she goes over to Jacqueline at the party and she asks if she's seen Dina, which honestly makes me want to pass out.
And poor Jacqueline is you can see it's the palpable stress, right, that runs through her body. Yeah.
Thank God she was wearing sunglasses because I think we would have seen her cry.
Yeah.
And so she asks if, so Jacqueline is like, oh yeah, I bet she was sort of glad that those sunglasses are huge. But she says that, Jacqueline says that she and Danielle have a dispute way too early in the relationship.
Love to know what this is. Love to know.
Like, and for it to be something that was early and that was huge, I still can't like, and I keep, even with my notes, anytime it's referenced, I keep writing, what was it? Like, I just need to know. And she says that her relationship with, I mean, I hate to say it, but she says that, Danielle recognizes that Jacqueline's about to have to make a choice, I think, because she says that her relationship with her is important and she doesn't want her to have to make a choice. But then I think that Danielle is like her own worst enemy. And I think that she is constantly putting Jacqueline in position where she has to make a choice.
She doesn't know how to get out of her own way.
No.
Is what it is. And again, I see it as really obnoxious, but I also, having known people like her, I could see the desperation in wanting to try.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this is where things are going to get cringeworthy, I have to say. This is a spoiler alert for everybody listening. This is my cringiest moment of the episode. We'll be asking for you all to share.
It's mine too, Maria.
Your cringiest moment of the episode.
I couldn't fucking believe it. No.
If you agree with us, let us know in the comments on the post for this episode on Instagram. If you disagree, share with us what your cringiest scene was. But this scene where Danielle finally, I feel like, corners poor Dina, right? And not just hugs her, but like two arms, Michelle?
Two arms.
And
like,
then fucking kisses her, right?
Yeah.
And then it was creepy as hell. We cut to Caroline. I don't know if you noticed it, but there was this quick cut to Caroline, who looks like Chris just opened a low rent strip club in like the neighborhood. Like she's bullshit. She is so mad. Michelle, she is bullshit.
I can't be proud of that club. Yeah.
No, she's like, this is a club that mama cannot be proud of. And so then all of a sudden Danielle is saying weird shit to Dina. She's like, you know, you look beautiful. Can I borrow those boobies? Yeah. And it is so awkward. Dina is saying like, you know, I have to, what did she say? I have to question her sanity.
Yeah.
And she was wondering, it was very like, you know, saying it was like Silence of the Lambs. Like she wasn't sure if she wanted to be her or if she wanted to skin her, and wear her like last season's Versace.
Yeah.
Maybe the best quote from Dina ever.
Yeah.
In Real Housewives. And I honestly, as stupid as what she was saying was, I get it. Like, I don't think Danielle knows either. I think Danielle just wants to be accepted. And Dina is the obstacle, you know, to that. Dina is the obstacle to that. And, you know, the part that's creepy. So Danielle hugs her again and she says, let's party and have good times. And then she says something that has to be, I mean, thank God Danielle is not an investment banker because her clients would all be completely bankrupt. She said, if I were to make an assumption, which I hate to do, we might end up really tight.
And then it cuts to Dina saying,
and then it cuts to Dina and Dina's like, yeah. She's like, will we ever be best friends?
No. She says that through her like chomping on her gum. She's going to drop the gum.
I mean, it's too much for me. It's like, I don't know. So yeah, I feel like this whole scene at the party was, I mean, Danielle has a way of making it all about her. So I was glad to be done with it, but I felt like that's for me the cringiest. You too?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. The long hug, she wouldn't let go, and then they're showing Dina like Dina's nice enough to put both her arms around Danielle.
I couldn't believe she did that.
I put the face on her. I think she was scared, and the face on her was just she didn't know what to think. She clearly didn't know what to think. Was she being assaulted? Does she want to slap this woman? Does she want to run away? You know, I mean, I don't know. It was almost as if like she was holding Danielle up, like shaking her, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? It was, yeah.
It was very weird. It was really weird. So then we go to Caroline's house.
Mm-hmm. And I keep calling her Carolyn for some. Is it Carolyn or Caroline?
Whoa, pardon me, everybody. Just had a little issue there. Almost murdered myself and the microphone. It was Caroline. She's actually, it's funny. Some people call her like Carol. Yeah. And I'm like, and she does give Carol vibes.
She does. I mean? Yeah.
She has a way about her that feels very gangster mall, but like but maybe the 50s.
Yeah.
It's very strange to me. I really like her though. I can relate to her.
I like her too. Yeah.
Especially in this scene, right? Because she's cooking with Lauren, her daughter, and they're cooking in their massive kitchen, right? So she's talking about, you know, the relationship she has with her kids, saying they have an open door policy, and she's making sausage, potatoes, and pasta. And so she says that she loves her relationship with Lauren and she feels like a mini me. And I have to say, it reminds me so much of my house in Everett. Not because I cooked, but because that's what it looked like when my family would come over.
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting and sort of fun to see that. Also, too, it does kind of remind me, I hate to say it, but decor wise.
My question is the peeling the potato thing. I never did understand that. Like, why do you peel the potatoes? Like, why would you bother?
Well, because you're just going to boil them and then have them and then put them in the, like serve them all like that. They're boiled.
So you just boil them up with the skin on and mash it up.
No.
Oh.
No, ma'am.
No. Otherwise you got baby food. You might as well have just some cream of wheat in there.
No, they're not that smushy. They're not, they shouldn't be. They should have a little bit of, you know, they should be a little al dente. They should be a little something.
Oh, I don't know.
I will say her sauce didn't look, her food didn't look awesome to me. Because honestly, I hate anything that involves potatoes in terms of Italian food. I don't want to be involved in it.
But you know, what I thought of is those are like things I've always got in the house: potatoes and sausages. I've there's always, whether it's like something frozen or fresh, but there's always like, I could always whip that together, like on a big cookie sheet.
Oh yeah, and I hate that stuff. So my mother would make sausage and potatoes and sometimes green beans all
Oh
together.
yeah, green beans.
Gross.
Yeah.
Gross.
Throw a little egg in there, maybe.
Oh, please stop. Yeah, I mean, this is like very, yeah, this is like this whole conversation around the table around the like the Italian stuff and the food. Like all of that is just so typically Italian for me. I'm sure it's a lot of other cultures too.
Well, I was happy to see the green salad because I was freaking out with all the fucking starch that they were having, and they were not complex carbs either.
I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And if to make matters worse, I mean, the food is unbalanced and the discussion is like vapid. Chris is talking shit. And Caroline loves it. She thinks
the color, the color subjectivity.
She thinks he is hilarious, and I think it was actually kind of nice to see. You know, even though the kid is, he's talking shit, she thinks it's so sweet. She said he was born with a smile on his face. It's a nice unguarded moment actually for Caroline because she is often on her guard, right? Like especially because to your point, the rest of the season is going to revolve a little bit around Danielle.
Yeah, so, but she gets a kick out of him. She does.
Yeah, and even when the convo sort of, shifts to Lauren going to beauty school, this is a very like kind of Italian American vignette. It's a very typical, the idea of like, yeah, she's not all that bright, but maybe we'll send her to beauty school. Maybe we can get her into beauty school. Does dad know anybody? We'll see. We'll make some calls.
Oh my God. Meanwhile, Chris is like still contemplating if red is really red or is it blue, or how your eyeballs see versus everybody else's, and what's the proof?
Bless him, right? Like, I mean, I'm sure he probably is fun.
Bless his heart. Yeah,
he's probably fun at the table.
Bless your heart.
Yeah, we go next to Teresa and Gia, and Teresa and Gia going to acting class. You want to share with us a little bit about that? I thought being the mother of a performer yourself, or two performers, you might want to talk a little bit about
and
this.
The acting teachers even played a part in The Sopranos.
Yeah, Lisa Regina. Yeah.
So I don't think it goes that well, but this is to be expected from kids, right? She's sorry, what's her name? What's the kid's name?
Gia is awful. Gia. Yes.
Gia. Okay. And then what's the middle one's name? I can never remember her.
So, because she's not important, she never does anything. So there's
and
Gia,
the other one,
and the other one. It's like I told you, it's Bella and Gigi. So it is Gia and the other one, who is, I think her name is Adriana. No.
Well, Gia,
Gabriella.
Oh, Gabriella
and Melania.
Okay.
Melania is basically Joe in a dress.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah,
she is.
Yeah,
so yeah. So Gia is she's doing okay. I mean, she's getting it. I don't really have too much to say about this. I think, I thought it was cute. She was trying. I think when you have kids, you just throwing shit against the wall to see what's going to stick. And I don't know if does this stick? I don't know. You want to foreshadow it at all or no?
She grows up to be a very beautiful girl, and I will say that.
Yeah.
So, and you can tell she's a really pretty girl, and she's very charming.
Yeah.
She does have an opportunity, and I think it's maybe in 2 or 3 seasons where she does write a song, and it becomes famous much later, maybe a year or 2 ago. Becomes like a little viral TikTok moment. So
cute.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about it. But she is a very cute little girl. But this is not a great class. You can tell she's just. I mean, she's very young.
Yeah.
Too. And so it's, she's unfocused, but it really is cute. And Gia, she seems like a sweet kid. Again, Teresa is wearing something terrifying. Marilyn Monroe t-shirt with like a hat with sequins on them. Like I think it was a sequined rose.
She
not okay.
Bedazzled the shit out of it. Yeah.
Not okay, my friend. Not okay. And then I really love like the idea of Teresa like being a momager, but she's like a demented momager. She reminds me of a little bit of like my mother. Like my mother was very, very into that stuff. You remember? So it was like I had to do dance, piano, the acting classes, the modeling classes. Like your mother made you do that shit too. I had to do
not
tennis.
Everybody did that. Like didn't never. I just
skiing lessons. Ooh. I mean, it's exhausting when I think about it. I was like, no wonder, like, I just wanted to relax when I went to college. I was exhausted.
Whenever I've taken my kids skiing and, and they want to like kind of chill out at the top when you get off the chairlift because they're so fucking traumatized, from like, and I'm like, I have a friend, Maria. She had that big accident because some idiot was standing there.
Yeah, don't fuck around, dude. Don't fuck around.
You get off the lift, you gotta go. You can't just stand there and pick your nose.
That I'm telling you, like, I still can't do those things, but like, I feel like Teresa is like that. She wants her kids in everything, doing everything. I alternately think it's obnoxious and respected. I'm not sure where I really go on that.
I got to tell you also, there was another part of it for me when my kids were little. I did not want to be home with them because there would just be nonstop shit that they would want. They'd want to cook. They'd want to, someone's got to poop. I got to go wipe them up. Oh yeah. I mean, I wanted to be anywhere but in my house with my kids. Yeah. So I just had them signed up for absolutely everything and I ran nonstop. And yeah, and I had zero time to think. And when they went to daycare, which was like a mortgage, that's like when I would get stuff done.
How much is daycare?
I remember when infants were like a lot of money. So I think I sent Liam like 3 days a week and it was like $800 or $900 a month.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And that was
never have afforded kids.
That was like 10, 12 years ago. Well, I had a deal with my parents that I ran their property. I did the business end of stuff because they were older and they paid me a salary and then they also paid for my daycare.
That's actually pretty groovy, dude. I would not have been able to see. That's the thing. Like, I feel like Teresa doing this with the girls is like a form of daycare. Like, I feel like it's probably to your point, like her getting them out of the house, getting herself out of the house. Yeah. It's probably something to look forward to as well. I'm such a horrible bitch. My cold, dark heart. So let's get to what I feel is like one of the best scenes in the entire episode. And I'm curious if you've noticed some stuff. So we head to the back of Caroline's house, which is also another one of these like palatial homes with a backyard that looks like it's, I don't know. I mean, it looks like the Serengeti. I mean, it's lush. It's amazing to me. So all of a sudden we see them call for Lauren. And then if you look really close, you see Caroline with what can only be described as a demented smile. So for our friends listening, this particular episode is going to have a little bit of a visual component that I'm going to be posting on the Instagram post for this particular episode. So I'll be sharing with you some of the pictures that I'm talking about and that I'm sharing with Michelle now. So Michelle, I don't know if you can see this, but this is the like it is. I mean,
it's so bad. It's like so bad. No,
that is like not okay with me. No. And so they call Lauren out, and here's basically
they're so mean to her.
Yeah, here's basically the entire conversation. And then maybe you tell me what I mean by this. I felt like it was like brain shaming.
Yeah.
Right. Like if they were making fun of the fact that she was like sleazy, it'd be slut shaming. So I'm like, they're making fun of the fact that she's basically stupid. And so they're sitting there talking about the fact that she's not very bright, but should probably go to beauty school. And basically she's sitting there honestly staring up at them, kind of like giggling every couple of seconds.
I think they're very demeaning towards her.
I felt really bad, but I think it's systematic because it didn't seem strange to her. Like her face didn't change at all.
Yeah. Well, when she goes to therapy, that's going to come out, that there'll be some shit there, but no, they're not nice to her. And I don't, you don't talk to one kid in front of like their siblings about like if they're stupid or if they don't get it. You have to, it's just not done. It's not done. You don't talk about like your spouse badly. You just don't do that. There's a decorum where, if they don't have a certain talent, they don't have that talent, but they have others.
Yeah, and she even says, I think Caroline even says at one point, we want her just to be the best Lauren Manzo.
Right. Why can't they just keep saying that?
Yeah. And I want to say, like, maybe you should get your husband on board with this shit, because he's the one who keeps saying, like I know a guy. And so basically it feels like they're setting her up to go to beauty school. And honestly, she says very little other than to complain a little bit.
Well, her hands would hurt. Well, she said that
Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah, earlier should her hands would hurt.
Oh,
God bless.
hands. Ah,
Yeah.
I can't touch you
Yeah.
anymore. My hands, they hurt.
Yeah. And then we swing wide and we go to Danielle's house. And she's on the phone with her ex. Behind her, actually, I don't know if you noticed this, but I have a picture of it for you as well. Everybody, is the candlestick from the game Clue. I don't know if you can see it, but it is right here, Michelle. It is humongous.
Oh, I did see that. I did.
It is
Yes.
it is a huge candlestick.
Well, that's her weapon.
Yeah, she tells us that the relationship that she had with her ex was completely destructive. And we can tell that, also, honestly, I can tell from the phone call that it was also extremely boring. Here's something that I wanted to note to you. So this is a one-sided convo. Normally on Bravo, they have to share.
Yeah, I wonder if this was completely staged.
Yeah, either that or I wonder if this was very early.
Yeah.
And they weren't really doing that. But today you would never have a situation where someone would be able to say, I'm not sharing this phone call. So I wanted to mention that. These are so rare in Bravo. So she's waiting for child support. Something to note here. She says here that she's been divorced for 2 years. When she meets Jacqueline, she says it's been 6 years since she was divorced. So something to bring up. And so while she's, talking about this, we get Jacqueline and she pops in a little talking head wearing the most enormous Maltese cross I have ever seen.
Yep.
And she says that Danielle's ex is very selfish. And honestly, it's the whole conversation is just basically Danielle trying to get money from for her ex. Honestly, I wish they would have cut this. I thought this was a super boring scene.
Where is she getting her money from? She got this massive house. I mean, she's keeping up with the Joneses somehow.
Well, she has the house, but I mean, it could be in foreclosure for all we know.
Yeah.
So yeah, we swing back wide again. We hit the car. We're in the car with Jacqueline. She has Ashley with her, and she says that she's been trying unsuccessfully to have a baby since CJ was 6 months old.
Yeah.
And so she mentions her age, actually. She says that she's 38 and that Chris is 42. Is that like old?
It is considered old in the baby making world, yes.
So when did you have Liam? Were you 40 what?
Well, I was 40, so we have to back up a couple of generations because my dad was a late in life child. Like he was the youngest of 7. My mother was a late in life child. I was a late in life child. I was the extravaganza. I was the 13, 15 years later. And my mother, I think, was 40 and my dad was 45. Brian was a late in life child. So never occurred to me that we would not have kids whenever we fucking felt like it. Like I just,
oh wow,
that clock didn't seem to tick with me. I just figured everybody else in my family did it. Why wouldn't we? So, but yeah, then when they sent me, when my OBGYN sent me to like the Mass General special, like advanced maternal age ward, that's
so you're like geriatric mother.
Well, geriatric, I'm not kidding. There were women in their like mid 50s pregnant. And
never speak of that again.
Yeah. And I was like, 37 when I had Stefan. And, I looked pretty good still, I gotta say, I was like, I don't feel that old. You people are sending me here. But yeah. So that is old in terms of like just all the shit that can go wrong.
And it sounds like so much has gone wrong for Jacqueline.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, all those miscarriages. That's
4 in a row, right?
Yeah, it's really upsetting. Like when you really, really want a baby, and
yeah, it's sad because she goes into the doctor's office and it sounds like they don't know why. They can't quite pinpoint what's going on.
No,
right? They don't really know. Is it? God, I mean, and she's so emotional. This part actually makes me really sad. So I feel like I want to skip over it because I have nothing shitty to say about this section. I feel like she's really emotional and sincere. I thought it was really sweet when she talks about the fact that she shows right away.
Mm-hmm.
So she takes out her tops, and then just to put them back. Just the idea of that just kind of broke my heart a little bit.
Yeah.
And she said feels like she can't enjoy the pregnancy because she's worried about losing it.
Yes.
And so this was a sad scene, but I feel like the good news is right around the corner is another fantastic, funny scene. And this is, of course, the scene with Dina and the interviewing of her assistant, who, if I'm not mistaken, Michelle,
Her
can you tell
baby
me
man, yeah.
if I'm crazy? Did we get his name? What's his
No.
fucking name?
He's just boy toy assistant.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
Watch my bald cat. Yeah.
Oh, for Christ's sake. So the kid rings the bell. Did you see what the bell was, by the way?
Refresh my memory. It was ridiculous.
Michelle, it was terrifying. The bell is a butterfly. The bell.
Oh, that's right.
Her fucking bell is a butterfly. So Dina starts talking about, she brings this kid in wearing a red polo shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And she never introduces him. We see a voiceover, and she's showing the invitation for the Project Ladybug fundraiser, which she runs. It's like a girls' night out fundraiser. And so this kid with the faux hawk comes in, is interviewing to be her assistant, and he sits down. And once he sits down, Michelle, and here we go now to the pictures. I have more things to show you. I don't know if you saw this.
What do you got? What do you got?
So when he sits down, there are some things in her house that we need to discuss. So this is the table runner in her, I think that's her dining room.
I didn't know, was that like crushed up grass or moss, or I didn't understand that.
I believe it is felted.
Is it vomit?
And to like it looks like someone threw up on it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand what's going on with that. And then as soon as he sits down, when he starts talking, you can see behind him is this figurine, this porcelain figurine.
Yep,
of this cockatoo.
That cockatoo, yeah.
I can't with it.
You love birds.
Her house. Oh my God, I hate birds so much. Her house. That's a Sicilian thing, by the way, which is interesting. So a lot of Italians don't believe they think birds are bad luck to have them in the house.
Yeah, no birds in the house, no shoes on the bed, right?
Yeah. And you got to make sure that the bread is the right side up.
Okay.
And so, the guy comes in, the table runner terrifies us all.
I think he was living. The table runner was living.
Well, the only good thing I can say about it is, as someone who has 2 dogs, I guess if there was dog hair on it, you'd never know.
You'd never know.
So the interview begins. So here are the interview questions. Will you bathe Grandma Wrinkles, her hideous hairless cat?
Would you bathe my bald pussy?
Right?
Pretty much. That's what she's asking. You know that, right?
Well, exactly. Will you buy tampons? And will you kill spiders? And the kid just basically looks blank, nods and smiles. And Dina, I guess, she just wants it to work. So she says she hopes it's going to work out. Mm-hmm. And then we cut to Danielle and her daughters at her house, and they're lacing up their shoes to go for a run. Mm-hmm. Danielle lets us know that she and her daughters run 7 days a week.
7 days a week, yep.
What did you think of that neighborhood, Michelle? Did you check out that neighborhood that she's running through?
It was nice.
That was pretty sweet. Those houses
it was huge. Pretty sweet, yeah.
So this is where she says to us that she's been divorced for 2.5 years, which, as I said, does not coincide with what she said earlier. Which is not entirely surprising. So she says that she, if she doesn't get her divorce settlement soon, she's going to lose everything. And this statement, Michelle, I don't know if you noticed this one. This one was one that, for me, it was one of those things where I had to stop it and rewind it, play it again and go, really? She says, I can't struggle financially anymore. Someone has to save me and my girls.
Yeah, swoop in and save me.
And I was like, oh my God. So we go instantly to her going on a date. Teresa, we have a little talking head with her. She tells us that Danielle met him through Juicy Joe, and that the age difference is significant, but she says to each his own, which is so funny because Teresa will say shit like that, but doesn't really believe shit like that. And so it's actually a cute scene a little bit because her daughters are helping her choose outfits.
Yep. Yeah. With all she's broke ass and she's got all the really big designer names.
Yeah, what did she say? The purse was Chloe?
Yeah.
Yeah, God bless. Steve arrives, the famous Steve, with a bouquet. Can I ask about this, Michelle? Because you have a little more class than myself. He arrives with a bouquet in a vase. Is that a thing you do? You arrive with them in the vase?
Yeah, what's really funny is, yes, you can get bouquets in a vase. And there is some etiquette that says you should do that. I don't always like that because I got a lot of my own really nice vases.
I was just going to say, I'd be like, we have
I don't want your shitty glass vase. So I got my sister for her birthday, a 6-month flower subscription, and I got it without the vase. And I said to her, I was like, you got you didn't need the vases, right? She goes, no, I'm glad you didn't give me the vases. I don't want their shitty vases. I have enough of my own crystal things that I can display things in. So Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I just seems strange to me. I don't, it reminded me of a weird date, a prom date or something. So we hear from Danielle that he is 26. She is 45.
He's an old man. He's ready to
I was just
die.
going to say, he looks like Mr. Magoo.
Yeah.
He's Dollar Tree Mr. Magoo. So she then says, younger men are attracted to me. I guess it's my appearance of youth.
Mm-hmm.
When women talk like this, I'm like, oh my God. So then Jacqueline tells us about Danielle's open sort of door and relationship policy with her daughters,
Mm-hmm.
and that she thinks that she is introducing them to
Yeah.
men too early.
She is.
Uh,
I think that's sort of open. The thing is it's all about what Danielle needs. There's no protection for her kids, and she's going to turn them into more wackadoodles just like she is.
that's an interesting perspective. Tell me about, like, when you look at Danielle, what are the things that like are jumping out to you as things that feel like she's selfish?
Look, I get that like you're a mother in your 40s and you're still a very viable creature. You're going to be here for a while. She looks good. She wants to have fun, but you also have to like play like the mom part. So you can't go walking around, dressed up like a hoochie whore and with all your skinny ass shit hanging out for everyone to see. I don't know. She lacks decorum in my opinion. I don't really know how else to describe it, but there is for me, there's a line that I crossed becoming a mother. And then, I don't know, I guess past like 40, it was just like, okay, at some point you sort of start to like disappear in the eyes of like the public, that like you're not like this young hot thing anymore, or you lose youth, and people like to look at youth, right? But
Yeah.
she's not entering that phase of it's nice to sort of fade into the woodwork and not be looked at all the time. She still wants that. And I think that's a little gross.
Yeah, and I think that that also speaks to that need
That
that she
need.
had. Yeah, that like it feels like an overwhelming need. So she leaves with Steve. And it's actually again, I like don't have kids, but I think Christine is 14. I feel like they should have a babysitter.
No, that's if they're just going out for a
Really?
couple of hours. Yeah, no.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be trusted. I'm like, I shouldn't have been trusted. I would have been.
Oh,
would have
yeah,
messed-
we leave our
I would have burnt the house down.
Oh, well, see, that's it. We would get like Chinese food delivered or pizza or something, or what
Oh
I
yeah,
mean?
keep me busy. I like how this
That's
goes.
what we do when we go out. Like, nope, don't cook. Please don't touch the stove.
Yeah, please never turn it on.
And
Never turn
never
it on.
open the door.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I feel like this happens a lot. Like her daughters are behaving like this happens a lot. So I think you're right. I think, it's sad that she's not more focused on their safety. But she does boogie down productions with him. And then we arrive at the night of the girls' night out. So Dina is at the Brownstone setting up the Ladybug event. And
Wait,
now
sorry, I have to double back
Yeah.
because they're at the restaurant, right? So I'm sitting here.
Oh, I haven't done it yet. We haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Oh, they're flipping back and forth now. Okay.
Yeah,
All
so
right,
we're
okay.
gonna go. Yeah, what's so interesting is the whole episode from here on is going to be the juxtaposition of those two scenes.
Okay.
The date,
That's right.
and then the beginning of the setup of at the Brownstone, and then the execution of that girls' night out event.
Okay.
And so as soon as Danielle leaves, we cut to Dina who's setting it up.
Mhm.
And like so she's walking around making baskets and like sort of moving from thing to thing. And we get this cut in from Caroline, who says that when she's working, she's a perfectionist. And then the next two words she says are psychotic and crazy. And then they say that she says that they call it her bitch mode, right? But there are going to be 600 people at the event. I mean, it looks pretty huge. Did you know the Brownstone was that big? I had no idea.
Yeah, it's a big place. I mean, here's the thing. I've worked in a lot of event adjacent things. And it's a lot of work. I mean, it's very serious. You are putting on a party, but you're not there to party. So it's a big deal. So if people get bitchy, that's because we got a goal.
It feels par for the course, no?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, she's not bitchy. If she's bitchy, it's because you're not doing your fucking job. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I'm like, I feel like anything that she said, even during the episode that was snarky, would not have been said if had people been doing the thing.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize when I heard 600 people, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And then we swing right back to Danielle and the date.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're pulling up to this place. And it's called like the High Lawn.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll have to share with you. I'll post it. I actually got a couple of snapshots of the menu.
Oh yeah.
The type of menu that does not have prices.
Oh dear. Yeah. Danielle
so
likes that.
She does, and her skirt is insanely short.
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice this?
Mm-hmm.
It is. I mean, God bless her. She has a great figure.
Yep.
I mean, she looks amazing, but that skirt is it's like painfully short.
Mm-hmm.
Just to see her in it, even though she looks good. And so they sit down, and she says, "You look nice." And he says, "So do you." And then she goes, "Yeah." Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Another kind of blatant sort of need. This thing that when women do that to almost to show like, no, I'm confident in myself. It misses the mark by so much.
Yeah, it does. I know. Yeah,
like it overshoots it by so much. If she had been more subtle and just smiled, then that would have conveyed like, yes, I'm confident in myself. I know that I'm attractive.
Or just thank you. How about just a thank you? A lot of people have a hard time accepting like praise. Yeah, they just say thank you.
I used to have a real hard time with that, actually. I used to have a hard time with that, like after sessions, when people would have like nice things to say to me. I wouldn't know like what to say. And I would get like all creepy and weird. And so I started saying, thank you so much for saying that. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
And it was just something, and it became the thing that I said. Okay. Or I would say, thank you so much for saying that. It means a lot to me that you did.
Okay, so next time you say that to me, I'm going to know that you're just on bullshit autopilot. You haven't even heard what I said.
Yeah, I'm billying. Right. I've already moved on in our lives.
I'm writing down your trade secrets. Hold on.
Seriously, don't tell anybody. And so as soon as she says, yeah, she goes, you're very lucky to him. And he says, I know. And then this sentence I thought was really, and you tell me, did you have a reaction to this? So it's just it's not something she says in the restaurant. So it's her interview. She says she knows the age difference is big, but he makes her feel like she wants to feel when she is with a man.
Yeah.
And it kind of made me feel for her again.
Yeah. She's got this, she's looking for a place, then she could just never fit in anywhere, but I don't want to do too many spoilers on her book, but she felt she was pretty special, right from the womb.
Well, right? And that's the thing. I think that she feels different, and I think she feels separate, even when she isn't separate.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a member of this cast, Michelle.
Yeah.
I mean, this is an exclusive thing. It's not like there are 400 people in this cast.
Yeah, no, so she creates a lot of her own problems. Yes, all of them. So
I am sitting there looking at this, and I pause it on her face, and I'm like, this poor lady. This is literally what I'm thinking. I unpause it, and her next sentence, I literally wanted to shut the television off. She says, you want to sneak in the bathroom? And I went, oh, like, what?
So this is what I wanted to go back to. So, I watched these like several times, before we recap. And so one of the times I was watching, sitting there with like my 15-year-old, because he's entertained by all of these. And of course, he just goes, Mom, have you and Dad ever like snuck off like in the restaurant bathroom or any public bathroom ever and done it? Yeah. And I was like, Stefan, that's so inappropriate. Go ask Dad.
Goes, I mean, it's just.
He's like, what is he going to tell me? I was like, I don't know what he's going to tell you. Just like.
Again, like, it's like she doesn't know any better.
Yeah.
Right. Like she just doesn't know any better, and here's the thing again. So she says that and she goes, do you think we could do that? She says, do you want to sneak in the bathroom? Do you think we could do that? And he looks at her and then he just goes, finish eating.
Yeah. Finish your food. Finish it.
Shit. I was like, oh my God, this is not going to last long. And so honestly, I loved this episode because these two scenes I thought were riveting. Yeah. So we cut back to Dina at the brownstone. And Michelle, I have to have like a moment here where I'm like, I literally want to reach through here and I want to hug you and I want to jump up and down and I want to say, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I fucking love events like this. This like girls' night out thing. I fucking love these things. So have you ever been to an event like this?
Yeah, I have.
I fucking love them. I used to do these things. So my mom, my second cousin Diane is was the president of this women's organization. It's actually, I think it's a Polish one. It's called Zontas. It's a businesswomen's association. And they used to have events like this in like the 80s and the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And Connie and I would go and seek and destroy. Like we would go and spend stupid amounts of money, have so much fun, eat all the food, have the, you know what I mean? It was so great. It was just, for my personality, perfect. I have a feeling that you didn't feel the same way.
No, I don't like those things. No, like a room full of ladies just scares me. And yeah. No, I don't like people. You know that. I don't like anyone. I like you.
I just, because to me, I'm like, Michelle, if this were happening right now, I would be like, we can't record tonight. I'm going to the fucking girls' night out of it.
Yeah, I'd be like, bless you, my child. You have a good time.
Yeah,
I'm sitting right here.
I love these things. Yeah, I just I'm all about this kind of stuff. I think they're so fun. So Dina starts talking about who the vendors are, and it looks pretty cool actually. There looks like to be a buttload of vendors. She says that her vendors are everything from scrapbooking to Botox, which I think should be the title of her sex tape.
Scrapbooking to Botox.
From scrapbooking to Botox.
Then scrapbooking was so big then.
Well, honestly, that was the kind of place where you would go and there'd probably be 2 or 3 tables set up just for people who love to scrapbook.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the event looks fucking packed. You know, there are cuts from place to place. And all of a sudden we see Ashley and Jacqueline. And Jacqueline is pissed that like Ashley is at a vendor's, like looking at clothing.
Trying on different dresses.
Yeah, but technically is it working? And she says it's weird, Michelle.
But she's supposed to work.
Yeah, can you help me with this? Because I was confused because
Ashley was supposed to work. She said she
would. And so she keeps changing?
Yeah.
Like, doesn't she
know?
What is
this?
I don't understand. Do you think that was for the cameras? Do you think that she felt like that she was like looking for a better outfit because she was recognizing?
No, I think she's just an asshole and just doesn't want to do what anyone asks her to do.
Cool. All right. Michelle with the hot take. Yeah, I couldn't figure it out. I was watching it going, why is she trying these clothes on? Because at first I thought to myself,
she wants to piss off her mother. Do you remember Julie? Yes. Our lovely friend Julie, who recently passed away. Yeah. Right. But she had such a passive aggressive relationship with her mother. And I remember I'd be over her house and her mother would have this little simple list of things to do before her mother and father came home from work, which was clean the cat dish, empty out the dishwasher. And I'd be like, okay, Julie, when's she coming home? Okay, let's do this now. She'd be like, fuck her, I'm not doing this now. And I would just be like, I don't know. I don't get it, Julie. I don't know why you would just you live here. She gives you 2 little things to do all day. That's all she wants from you. And you can't do it.
No executive points left. No. Please re-up tomorrow.
But Michelle was there with the executive points. I was like, well, I'll do it. She'd be like, nope, it's not getting done. Nope, I'm going to do it when she comes home and asks me. Like it was just to prove a point.
Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe Ashley is just, and who knows too, like we're just seeing such a slice of this. Mm-hmm. Who knows what the myriad of other things, especially with a teenager, could be going on. Mm-hmm. But I feel like it's really weird here because Jacqueline is like actively worried that Dina is going to get mad.
Yeah, she's,
instead of saying to Ashley, like, no, I want you to do this because, it feels like she's saying like, no, like Dina is going to be mad. And she doesn't want Dina to like, she's deflecting it, I guess.
I think what ended up happening was I think Jacqueline was going to be there as a guest and Ashley said she was going to help, but Ashley decides to fuck off and not help. And so then who gets to pick up the slack? The mother does. And that's what ended up happening, which kind of makes sense.
She's justified? So, Jacqueline is kind of pissed off, it seems.
She should be mad at Ashley, not at Dina.
I feel the same way because I feel like because we cut to that quickie with Dina where she like fires her. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I felt like it should have been a situation where I would have, as Jacqueline, I would have looked at Ashley and been like, I'm here as a guest, you're working.
Yeah, totally.
You said you were going to.
Yeah.
And so we have this situation where, Jacqueline is now starting to like complain a little bit about Dina. And we have this shot of Teresa, which is so prophetic. So you don't realize this now, Michelle, but the rest of the Real Housewives of New Jersey, starting like from season 3, I think, on, will basically revolve around Teresa and the relationship she has with her younger brother, Joey, and his wife, Melissa.
Yep. Yeah.
And
I do know that. Yeah.
Yep. So she says here prophetically, sister-in-laws and friends are different.
Yep.
So Teresa says that's why she doesn't think that, Dina has been snippy with her. And so then all of a sudden we have this shot in of Dina, who's like, Teresa and Jacqueline don't understand what it is, the pressures of having a career, which is probably true. No, if I'm being honest. And, I understand too, honestly, that she's doing it, probably more for longer by herself than Jacqueline was. But Jacqueline and Teresa are actually in the bathroom. I'd love to see who they're talking to. Because when they're talking about Dina, Jacqueline is sitting like on a windowsill. Teresa is sitting on the toilet.
Yep.
And they're looking off to someone. It would not have been a producer. I would love to know who they were talking to.
Yeah, that
Dina
confused me. Yeah.
But Jacqueline is openly bitching about her. And she is saying that, Dina has no patience for anybody, and that she, doesn't want Dina talking down to her. And then Teresa actually gives her good advice. She's like, well, if she starts to do that, just remind her that you're helping her.
Yeah.
Which I actually was maybe the last time ever that Teresa will give actual advice.
And I never said anything intelligent. Yeah.
But I think that the next thing that happens, this gave a lot of color, I think, to what has happened before. It's almost like, like at the end of a movie, like The Sixth Sense, where you realize that Bruce Willis was dead. And then you rewatch the movie and say to yourself, like, oh, here's all the clues that I missed.
Yeah.
Once I heard this next sort of piece, I rewatched it and I found the clues that I missed, which is Dina. And she says she and Jacqueline were much closer when Jacqueline first married Chris.
Yes.
They had stuff in common. Yes. Yep. And, Dina was going through a divorce. They both have daughters, right? Felt like they had a lot in common, but they have drifted apart recently.
Yeah.
So to me, that makes a lot of sense why things are already a little bit tenuous with Dina for Jacqueline. And so now she has Danielle who's trying to pee in the pool.
Yes. And so it's so everything is relative, right? So it's and I say this to my kids all the time. If I suddenly like blow up that like, they've left a glass on the table, it's probably because for the entire week I've been picking up all their shit and been saying it to them, and they only see it as an isolated thing, but it's not. It's many things. So yeah, I did feel the same way. Is there must be some insight there,
which made me kind of feel sad. I went back and looked, and I noticed if you rewatch the scene of the birthday party when Dina arrives, she and Jacqueline, they hug like this, like or the tops of their bodies touch.
Yeah, it's not really like a sincere hug.
No, I mean, I hate to say it, but
Danielle, they both have really big boobs, though.
Danielle is practically humping Dina.
Yeah.
And Dina is hugging her back, whereas with Jacqueline, it was like a lean and a pat thing.
Yeah.
So you could tell there was some tension. I didn't notice it until I heard that.
Yeah.
And then I went back and I noticed a little bit, and I started to think about all the things that Jacqueline was saying, using that as a lens.
Yeah. And so Dina's irritated that, or is she irritated with Jacqueline over Danielle, or is it something else?
Right. That's the thing. Did this happen before? And is this like exacerbating it? Right. So then Jacqueline says Dina can be nasty at times.
So I would never have married into a family like this. Just to be clear, never. I never would have, because there's too many of them and they can all make the decisions. And, you can't just come in and just say like, I'm going to be independent here and I'm going to put my foot down. There's good and a bad. I mean, all my in-laws are in other parts of the world. It can get lonely, but on the other hand, I have this fabulous autonomy.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. My hot take is the Loritas are like the royal family.
Yeah.
Like once you get in,
Joyzy, yeah.
Well, once you get in a large family, I feel like it is like the royal family. The rules are different.
They are different. They're their rules, and I mean, that's it's nothing bad. It's just the way it is. It's.
I think you just have to. It has to be a thing that like you're aware of.
It's the colonization of everything around them.
And honestly, I feel like it's worse because for the Loritas, which is, that family, there's a lot of women. There's a lot of women in the family, which is, never good.
But probably that means they get shit done.
Probably. But there's also probably a lot of bitching.
Yeah.
And a lot of judgment. And I think Jacqueline feels that. And so I think she even probably blows up the things that happen with Dina because she already feels some of this stuff, right? Because she's saying, I mean, I can't believe she's saying this. I keep thinking to myself, I'm like, this is her fucking sister-in-law. She's saying on camera that she can be nasty. And she's like, at times I get mad at her. And then all of a sudden she says this. I think this is when she realizes she's on camera. She says, and then I thought about it, and family is family.
Yeah.
And so the next shot is she is going,
back.
Yeah, she walks it way back. And the next thing you see is her holding the bag and Teresa holding the raffle tickets. They're going table to table, right? She says she doesn't want to be on Dina's bad side like Danielle. And then we have, did you remember what Dina says about Danielle? She didn't want to pay for a ticket to the event.
Right.
Do you think she was invited?
No, I think Dina says inflammatory things like that. No, she was not invited. Yeah,
I don't think so either.
Dina just says shit like that. She just says things to stir the pot. My dad had like 6 sisters, and he said it was impossible. He said there was always some bullshit. Somebody was always making something up, and he had one sister that he was close with like his whole life, and that was really the only one he could have like a sane conversation with, because everyone else was just crazy. And I don't think they were crazy, but by virtue of the fact that like you're like in this flock, you make each other crazy.
Well, that's the thing. I feel like, it's like a Kool-Aid problem, right? They're drinking each other's Kool-Aid. And when someone comes in and says, I don't know that your Kool-Aid's all that delicious, there's 9 or 10 other people who are like, no, it's fantastic.
Or someone pees in your Kool-Aid,
Right.
Yeah.
They're like, someone like Danielle, who they perceive, and I don't think she really does, but they perceive that she is peeing in their Kool-Aid. Or that she's even threatening to. I don't think she really is. I don't think she's that powerful.
Yeah, but she's a disturbance. She's an annoyance. And then she got like a slot on the cast, and they're aggravated with that.
She's a skeeter. Yeah, she's a skeeter.
Yeah. Now, remind me again, how is it that Teresa fits into all this?
So you mean Teresa is who she is to them? She's a friend.
Yeah, just a friend.
So Teresa's not related to them.
Yeah.
So the Caroline and Dina are sisters.
Yeah.
Chris, Jacqueline's husband, is their brother.
Yeah. And Teresa is just a good friend.
It's a friend of Jacqueline and Dina and Caroline.
Okay. So she just knows them all.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. They all live in the same part of New Jersey.
Yeah.
And so, once Dina says that like sort of snarky statement about Danielle, I'm like, that literally was an eye roller, because like you, I feel like she was not invited. And her next statement is, she goes, we are talking about dying children here. And then she goes, well, we're not meant to be friends, so why bother? So I think that's her admitting that she wasn't inviting her.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it looks like it was a fun event. The theme apparently was 70s discos. And so then out of nowhere and inexplicably and inappropriately, Teresa and Dina and Jacqueline come out in afros. Thoughts?
I don't know. I mean, what do they got against curly hair?
Yeah. Yeah, why do they have to make fun? Yeah, honestly, I thought that the afros were kind of cute. I don't think it was really problematic. I don't think they were meaning it like that.
It's a trope. It's a disco trope,
I thought the outfits were adorable. Of course, Dina says that Caroline wouldn't put hers on. But then she says one of the things that she loves about Jacqueline is, and this kind of made me feel bad because I felt like Dina was saying some nice stuff about Jacqueline, whereas Jacqueline did not say nice things about Dina. But Jacqueline says that, one of the nicest things about her is that Jacqueline likes to be silly. And she's, and she's fun. And, I can boss her around. And then when the event's over, I can't boss her around anymore. And she thinks she's being cute. And she doesn't realize that Jacqueline has just told us that she's nasty and a bitch.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder how these series like end up breaking up families and friendships. Like I'd love to do like an overview, like pick apart all the relationships and like where they were then and where they are now.
Well, I'll tell you what's going to be interesting is that, is even in this, and this is why I think Jersey is a great choice for us to start. It's really fun to watch this because these people they do know each other. The person who's really on the outside here is Danielle.
Yeah, Danielle.
Because Danielle is just a friend of Jacqueline's and she's a new friend.
Yeah.
Right? Teresa is what they would consider an old friend, like a known entity, right? So for them, Danielle is this new person. They don't really know her. And so we'll be able to see how this will actually break up some friendships and create rifts.
Yeah.
But this happens across every franchise. So not even just the Housewives, or places of, obviously, like we're hearing about Scandival with Pump Rules, and everything that's gone on with places like Below Deck, or Summer House, which is notorious for their being sort of like double crosses. I think that especially with New Jersey, it gives us an opportunity to like watch the relationships. And then you can really, I feel like you can almost pinpoint where things start to go wrong. And I think we're seeing now the seeds of
Yeah.
like of distrust between Danielle and everybody else.
Yeah. Well,
What do you think, kiddo? That was
it's
a lot. It was a lot.
yeah, I know it is a lot. It's juicy though.
It was, yeah, it's a super juicy one. It was a lot of fun. I had a great time. I know you did too. We hope everybody enjoys these as much as we do. We really love doing them. So please don't forget to share your favorite cringeworthy scene from this episode. We'll ask you to put that under the Instagram post for this episode. We'll see you guys soon here on Pure Cringe. Thanks, Michelle.
Thanks, Maria. Good to see you.
Bye. You
Bye.
too.